Hi, this is Chris Young, and welcome to Good News on Tap for Holy Thursday. If you look at a liturgical calendar, you see that officially Lent is over with. Today we start an entirely new liturgical season known as the Holy Triduum. Now the Triduum is really one big piece of liturgy that starts Holy Thursday night and extends all the way through Easter. And even though we celebrate it on different days, with separate liturgies each day, it's really one big event. We start out with the Last Supper tonight. Now, I always thought I had a pretty good religious instruction growing up, but if there's anything that my religious upbringing failed me, it was that I didn't completely appreciate all the nuances and the details of the Last Supper until I was an adult. I understood that it was there that Jesus instituted the Eucharist, and I appreciated the importance of that. I understood it was the place where Judas was revealed to be a traitor. But I didn't get the connection to all of Jewish history, to all of salvation history. It wasn't until I was an adult that I really understood that this wasn't just another Thursday night dinner between Jesus and his friends. It wasn't just the dinner that happened to be the last time that they were there before Jesus was betrayed, tried, crucified, and died. This was the Passover meal. It's the big Jewish liturgy where they remember what they believe to be the most important event in their history, when God freed them from the slavery of Egypt and led them into the Promised Land. They take this occasion to retell that story over and over again, so they never forget the wonderful things that God has done for them. When we celebrate the Mass, and we do it every week instead of just once a year like Passover, sometimes I think we forget that we're experiencing and reliving our own salvation through the sacrifice of Jesus. Passover is a really big deal to Jewish people, because it reminds them of how much God loves them. Yet what God did for the chosen people at Passover is nothing compared to what we commemorate when we celebrate Mass. Because we do it every week, it gets to be routine. It doesn't have that big feel that a Passover has. We need to make it feel that big every week. Now, I think I mentioned before how radical it was that Jesus would take this event and turn it inside out. It's no longer the remembrance of what God had done in Egypt generations ago. When Jesus said, "Do this in remembrance of me," that'd be like our president saying, when you celebrate the 4th of July, don't remember what happened in 1776. Do it in remembrance of me. I mean, even if he was a great president that have done wonderful things, that would be a radical statement. But that's what Jesus did. He said, "Do this in remembrance of me." It was shocking to them. But this wasn't the first shocking thing that happened that evening. There was something that happened earlier that was also very shocking. Jesus took off his robe and put on the garment of his slave, and he washed their feet. Now, because we don't live in that era, we can't really appreciate how strange this was. And by now the apostles are convinced Jesus is the Messiah. He'd entered in Jerusalem triumphantly a few days ago with thousands of supporters. He's already started cleaning up the temple by throwing out the money changers. This revolution is in full swing. And now all of a sudden, instead of being this great leader, he's going to start doing menial work, like foot washing. But he was setting an extremely important example that we need to be of service to one another. So I think we do a pretty good job of understanding the Mass as a re-experiencing and reliving of the sacrifice. And we understand as best we can, with our limited human capacity, the idea of the real presence of the body and blood of Christ in the Eucharist. We need to take some extra time to understand the other message of the Last Supper, the message that we have to be servants to one another. In this Holy Thursday liturgy, the priest washes the feet of 12 parishioners. I almost wish they could do that every week. This is the part of the Last Supper story that we need to do a better job of remembering. If it's only about the Eucharist, if it's only about what Jesus did for us, then it's not the whole story. It's what we have to do now that helps complete the story. It's what we have to learn, the lessons of being of service that Jesus was trying to teach us at the Last Supper. The story isn't over yet, but it's getting close. We're starting to fill in the pieces. And that's Good News on Tap for Holy Thursday.